My name is Julian Myers. I am an art historian and editor based in Los Angeles, and I am a contributor to the exhibition catalog for Christina Fernandez Multiple Exposures. In that book, I wrote about the series Lavanderia, nighttime photographs of the windows of laundromats in Los Angeles neighborhoods. Here, I will speak to a later work, Laura A. Los Angeles, from the series View from Here, shot in 2018. View from Here is a series of 11 photographs that use a shared visual strategy. Fernandez is in a dark interior and aims her camera through a window or door to depict a bright landscape. Looking with her, we perceive trees, foliage, and mountains, a wood fence and a collapsing stone wall, desert scrub, and seascape. The technical details matter to the resulting pictures. In each image, Fernandez aligns the camera's rectilinear view with the outline of the architecture. This signals an analogy between the room and window pictured and the device doing the picturing. Each is a dark box with an aperture for light, making the situation pictured a nesting doll, a camera within a camera. Likewise, each photograph uses a shallow depth of field. The camera's lens focuses on the aperture itself rather than the landscape beyond. Each photograph registers the interior in sharp, if gloomy detail, while the exterior scene is blurred and at times almost blown out with light. But if the system for taking pictures was similar, the results change from picture to picture, as does her subject. 10 of the 11 photographs are titled with a given name, and each includes a location: Manzanar, Holcomb Valley, Joshua Tree, Leadfield, and more. The series is thereby tied to a history of individuals who made their places at the rough edges of urban life in California, the desert on one side, the coast on the other. The individuals, too, are differently marginal. Toyo Miyatake was a Japanese-American photographer interned at the Manzanar Relocation Center during World War II. Cabot Yerxa was an oddball writer, painter, and collector of Native American artifacts in desert hot springs, and so on to include prospectors, homesteaders, junk artists, and lighthouse keepers. One photograph, Sinagua, refers only anonymously to the indigenous artisans who built adobe houses near Sedona, Arizona, more than 1,000 years ago, before migrating from their homes in what has been called the Great Abandonment. Laura is the only subject afforded a last initial, A. Perhaps because she, Laura, was not a figure mediated for Fernandez by historical distance. Laura A. is Laura Aguilar, a working-class queer Chicana artist from Los Angeles. The two artists were acquainted and worked in the same Los Angeles darkroom. Long seen as an important figure within the Latinx community, art world recognition came late, after a retrospective exhibition in 2017. Aguilar died in 2018, and Laura A., which ends the series, is an homage to Aguilar and her work. Aguilar was an artist who made direct, frank work about desire, identity, poverty, and depression. Laura A. puts us in Aguilar's place. Shot as if from her bed, we see the first thing Aguilar would have seen on waking up: a hazy, overpainted window with stones and stick to prop it open on warm nights, a rough-cut dull pink sheet in the place of curtains, knotted so as to let in the daylight. Aguilar's knot is a semi-intentional act of sculpture. It calls to mind the twisted and enfolded bodies of her photographic self-portraits. How does Aguilar fit into Fernandez's strange coterie of homesteaders, prisoners, and lighthouse keepers? Each in their way, Fernandez avers, was a kind of visionary who built a home on the edge, figuratively or literally. But the visions of these visionaries fail to manifest. Looking onto the landscape can evince possession and self-extension, ownership through the grasp of vision itself. But Fernandez's series stymies this projective sense, calling up instead enclosure, internment, and estrangement. Here we must return to the how of these pictures. Fernandez's way of picturing does not provide full access to what her subjects saw. I obscure the outside, Fernandez tells us. We cannot see clearly out into the world. What should we make of this unclear view of the world? I confess I'm not sure. Artworks are not messages or lessons. They are what they are. What I see in them is an act of empathy and curiosity, joined with an ethical refusal to describe. That is, to offer up her subjects' bodies or rooms for our delectation. Her portraits preserve their difference and independence, even as, however momentarily, we share their space and see what they saw.